Betrayal is a battlefield fought in silence, and every ordinary conversation can conceal a hidden strike. The enemy rarely announces itself. It moves like a shadow through familiar corridors, observing, waiting, testing your defenses. A friend's subtle hesitation, a colleague's diverted gaze, a whispered aside, these are the first missiles in a war no one warned you about. Recognizing them immediately, for failing to see the signs, is like marching blind across open ground, where each step risks your position, your influence, your authority. The throne you build in life, your mental sovereignty, is only as strong as the vigilance with which you guard it. Betrayers feed on unawareness, and the longer you ignore the signals, the deeper they can strike. Your first weapon is not confrontation, it is perception, sharpened and disciplined. Scan every interaction for inconsistencies, note every lapse of alignment between words and actions. Observe patterns rather than isolated moments, for betrayal rarely arrives as a single act. It is a sequence, a strategy repeated until the unsuspecting are unseated. Consider the subtle power plays in office hierarchies or within social circles, small omissions, calculated delays, selective sharing of information. These are not accidents, they are the reconnaissance missions of someone preparing to act against you. Each ignored warning erodes your throne imperceptibly, shifting the balance of power without noise or drama. When a disagreement arises, notice not only the content, but the delivery. Calm leadership disarms potential threats. Respond with composed authority rather than impulsive rebuttal. Weak, reacting emotionally, allows the betrayer's blade to find its mark. Strong, measured observation exposes intent and preserves control. Betrayal often disguises itself as loyalty, so do not take reassurances at face value. Track the history of small inconsistencies. They are the scouts of larger incursions. Mentally rehearse possible outcomes and maintain readiness to defend your interests decisively, but without letting paranoia dictate behavior. Keep your inner throne fortified. No one should find it unguarded because you are distracted by the trivial. Eyes open, sword ready. Treat knowledge as your first line of defense, strategy as your shield, and discernment as your sword. When subtle slights appear, acknowledge them silently, catalog their origin and frequency, and act only when the full pattern is confirmed. Your perception becomes your armor, your composure becomes your weapon. Awareness prevents the first strike from becoming a fatal wound. Stand with vigilance, record the signs, fortify your boundaries, and move with the certainty of a commander surveying the field. Trust selectively, confirm loyalties, and never assume silence implies harmlessness. Each unnoticed detail is a foothold surrendered. Each observation retained is a step toward dominance. Maintain clarity amidst ambiguity, calm amidst provocation, and decisiveness amidst subtle challenges. The enemy thrives where hesitation exists. Prepare, watch, and strike only with certainty, but first and foremost, rule your mind. Remember that the battlefield begins not in confrontation, but in recognition. Observe patterns, catalog discrepancies, fortify your position, anticipate moves, and remain untouchable in your awareness. Let each silent strike be neutralized before it touches your realm. Every gesture, pause, and phrase carries intelligence if you are vigilant enough to see it. In the theater of human interaction, awareness precedes survival, and preparation precedes victory. Train your perception as you would train an army. No detail is too small, no movement too subtle to escape scrutiny. Defensive strength is born from constant observation and disciplined interpretation. Recognize the first glint of betrayal, act with deliberate assessment, and command your domain without exposing vulnerability. The throne of your mind is secure only when every shadow is accounted for, every whisper considered, every intention measured. Stand unshakable, for the first dagger is often invisible, but not undetectable. Rule your awareness, rule your life. See the dagger before it strikes. Your mind is the throne from which all battles of influence are observed and commanded. Every betrayal begins not in actions, but in the subtle invasion of thought, where doubt, fear, and misplaced trust attempt to seize your strategic advantage. The fortress of your mind must be fortified before any external treachery can reach its walls. Guard the gates with vigilance. Each unexamined thought is an open port through which manipulation can enter. Consider Caesar, whose political paranoia and divided counsel made him vulnerable to the assassins who struck at the heart of the Roman Republic. He trusted advisors whose loyalties were fragmented, their subtle whispers and hidden agendas mapped a battlefield inside his own palace. In modern contexts, this manifests as colleagues who play dual roles, friends who shift loyalties quietly, or advisors whose counsel serves personal gain over your sovereignty. Recognition begins with observing the counsel of shadows within. The voices in your own mind that echo fear, the subtle reasoning that excuses poor behavior, the rationalizations that allow untrustworthy figures to remain unchecked. These internal murmurs are intelligent signals. They can reveal where your judgment is compromised. Reflection is your reconnaissance, identifying patterns in behavior and thought alike. Map the terrain of your psyche with precision. Each emotional response, each hesitation, each inclination to assume goodwill must be catalogued. A betrayed mind reacts impulsively, but a mastermind anticipates, understanding the trajectory of loyalty and deception alike. Discipline in thought translates to fortitude in action. The more controlled your reactions, the less room a betrayer has to maneuver. Micro-examples appear daily: a co-worker who consistently offers suggestions that subtly redirect your initiatives. Observe calmly, acknowledge the misalignment internally, and respond with measured authority. Weak, responding defensively escalates the breach. Strong, calculated acknowledgement preserves your influence while exposing the intention. Sovereignty of decision is the ultimate defense. Act deliberately, never reflexively, allowing internal fortresses to absorb initial shocks. The betrayer often attempts to manipulate perception, not through overt aggression, but by exploiting uncertainty in your judgments. Strengthen your mental ramparts by labeling decisions with clarity, distinguishing facts from assumptions, and separating loyalty from obligation. Command your thoughts as you would command an army. Each idea must serve the defense of your throne. Ignore the small, trivial skirmishes that distract from overarching strategy. Focus on patterns that signify deeper incursions. Use observation as a weapon and reflection as armor. Mental discipline ensures that when betrayal strikes, your responses are precise, measured, and unshakable. The cost of neglect is internal chaos, loss of strategic advantage, and vulnerability to repeated offenses. The reward of mastery is unassailable poise, the ability to anticipate treachery, and the clarity to neutralize threats before they materialize. Every decision passes through the gate of your mind. Make it a fortress where only reasoned, deliberate actions are admitted. Examine your own biases, scrutinize intentions behind words, and enforce boundaries within your cognition. Each choice must reflect authority over your own perception. Recognize that the mind unconquered cannot be betrayed. Sovereignty over thought is the first line of defense against any external deception. Train this vigilance daily, like an army in constant readiness, ensuring that your throne remains inviolate. Never permit unchecked impulses or unverified trust to weaken your control. Command awareness of both internal counsel and external behavior. Your mental throne is not inherited, It is seized and maintained through disciplined observation, structured reflection, and deliberate action. Fortify it relentlessly. Remember, awareness precedes action, and sovereignty begins within. Rule your mind, and none can breach your throne. Every morning is a battlefield, and the first hours set the tone for every encounter that follows. The dawn is not merely a transition from darkness to light. It is reconnaissance. Observe the subtle shifts in your environment and in the people around you. The delayed reply from a colleague, a remark laced with hidden implication, the imperceptible tightening of tone. Each nuance is a flag raised on the field, signaling intentions that may undermine your position. These are not accidents. Betrayals often start in whispers and gestures before manifesting as overt actions. Recognize these early, catalog them mentally, and adjust your strategy accordingly. Seize the first strike advantage by crafting a morning routine that shields your mind and body. Rituals of preparation, exercise, focused meditation, or deliberate planning are not indulgences, but strategic deployments, fortifying your mental ramparts against the world's subtle invasions. Enter each day armored, carrying clarity as your sword and attention as your shield. Fatigue is the ally of betrayal. Unprotected energy and scattered focus provide openings that predators exploit, whether in professional arenas or personal relationships. Nourish both body and mind deliberately. Each act of discipline becomes a sentinel guarding your throne. Micro-examples appear in daily life. A peer attempts to redirect your project subtly during the morning briefing. Respond with calm precision, acknowledging the divergence without conceding your authority. Weak, reacting emotionally escalates conflict. Strong, measured observation exposes the intent while preserving control. Manage your energy as you would a weapon, allocating attention to the tasks and relationships that serve your strategic objectives. Guard against the insidious erosion of vitality through unnecessary distractions or indulgence in reactive emotions. A leader who is alert at dawn sees threats in their infancy, neutralizes minor incursions, and maintains momentum for decisive action. Train your senses to detect patterns, repeated omissions, strategic silences, and subtle shifts often precede larger disruptions. Each observation informs your tactical decisions, allowing you to preempt betrayal rather than merely respond. Structure your mornings as deliberate campaigns, with each ritual reinforcing resilience, focus, and awareness. The body must be strong to sustain the mind, and the mind must be sharp to navigate the battlefield of interaction. Do not underestimate the power of early advantage. The hours of dawn are decisive skirmishes, where attention, energy, and clarity determine your capacity to maintain authority throughout the day. Use preparation to dictate the tempo, anticipation to guide your movements, and discipline to consolidate gains. Observe without attachment, act without haste, and protect your throne through strategic presence. Every subtle cue you perceive, every ounce of energy you preserve, and every deliberate choice you make compounds into a fortress of unassailable readiness. When betrayal arises, it will meet a mind that is armed, a body that is fortified, and a focus that is unbroken. Let the morning be your proving ground. Command your dawn, and none can strike your throne. Stillness is your weapon, sharper than any blade, and heavier than the weight of impulsive action. In silence, every gesture becomes a declaration, every pause a signal. The observer's blade cuts unseen. Your eyes, your posture, your controlled breath read the battlefield of human intent. A flicker of hesitation, a subtle glance away, the barely perceptible shift in tone. These are the coordinates of loyalty and betrayal. Do not fill the void with chatter. Let the world reveal itself through absence of response. Calmness is not submission, it is reconnaissance. The betrayer confronts a mind that does not react instantly, and in that pause their intentions are exposed. Resist the urge to strike first. The calm before the counterstrike amplifies your power. Observe, measure, Anticipate. Each unshaken moment magnifies your authority and renders deception impotent. Psychological armor is forged in this quiet. Emotional manipulation encounters nothing and fails. Your throne is protected not by aggression, but by the disciplined stillness that refuses provocation. In a meeting where a peer attempts to sway the team subtly through insinuation, respond with measured acknowledgement, preserving your position without feeding tension. Weak rushing to correct or confront inflates conflict. Strong silence and observation gather intelligence while demonstrating control. Train your mind to detect the imperceptible hesitations, micro-expressions, tone shifts. These are the whispers of hidden strategy. Let them speak while you remain unmoved. Weaponize your quiet to preempt deceit, allowing plans to unfold without the chaos of reactive emotion. Discipline becomes a shield. Attention becomes your sword. Every internal check, every mindful pause, compounds into a fortress that no subtle betrayal can breach. Maintain posture, steady voice, and focused gaze. Your presence communicates authority without a word. Silence itself becomes tactical dominance. Use it to control the tempo of interaction, dictate the field of engagement, and expose weakness without exposing yourself. Observe the patterns, catalog the deviations, and act when the clarity of betrayal is undeniable. Calm is contagious. Composure commands loyalty and deters opportunism. The field of human strategy rewards the patient, punishes the hasty, and crowns those who master stillness. Let the betrayer reveal themselves fully before you respond. Each measured breath, each moment of unbroken attention, strengthens your position. Your mind becomes untouchable, your throne unassailable. When deception arises, meet it with unwavering stillness, letting the betrayer's haste be their undoing. Silence is the sharpest blade. Betrayal cannot linger in your court. The moment disloyalty surfaces, it must be met with decisive strategy, not hesitation or hope for repentance. Spot the poison quickly. Identify behaviors that repeatedly erode trust. Subtle sabotage, repeated slights, undermining initiatives. Patterns do not lie, they are the map of inevitable betrayal. Treat them as the first smoke of fire, signaling that destruction is near if left unchecked. Contain the threat before it spreads. Social distancing, limiting access, and professional boundaries act as walls against the contagion of deceit. This is not cruelty, it is calculated survival. Protect your influence, your energy, your decisions from those who would corrode them. When a team member consistently derails projects through undermining comments, intervene with measured removal of responsibilities, maintaining authority while neutralizing risk. Strike cold, not emotional. Do not allow anger, shock, or personal grievance to dictate action. Emotional reactions become weapons the betrayer can exploit. Precision, calm, and finality protect your throne more than any display of indignation. Remove access quietly, adjust alliances decisively, and enforce consequences without spectacle. Your moves should be invisible to opportunists until the threat is neutralized. Treat this as warfare. Every action has a tactical purpose. Every measure shields your domain. The betrayer's influence diminishes only when you control the tempo, not when you chase retribution. Make decisions based on evidence and impact, not sentiment. Let the network of loyalty expand while toxic elements are excised efficiently. Weak, reacting with confrontation or public chastisement exposes your vulnerability. Strong, measured action preserves authority, reinforces order, and communicates control silently. Your presence must remain commanding while threats are eliminated with minimal disruption. Employ consistency. Once a betrayal is detected, act swiftly in containment and removal. This signals that subversion carries consequences without unnecessary drama, reinforcing discipline and foresight. Allow no ambiguity. Hesitation invites repetition. Every calculated removal strengthens your position and deters future disloyalty. Let the field of interaction be cleared methodically, ensuring only those aligned with integrity influence outcomes. Guard your energy, protect your decisions, and execute with detachment. Your throne depends on the clarity and precision of your action. Make elimination an exercise of strategy, not of emotion. Command respect through decisive management of disloyalty. Every silent correction, every strategic distance, compounds into a fortress impervious to subtle sabotage. Protect your influence, enforce boundaries, and let disloyalty wither under careful, cold administration. Decisive action preserves the throne. Authority is not given, it is projected with precision and presence. In every room, on every call, your posture, your voice, your calm demeanor must signal command. The veil of invincibility begins with silence and composure. Show no sign of doubt, no flicker of emotion that betrays awareness of schemes. Let the betrayer question whether their efforts will succeed, sow uncertainty in their mind before you act. Influence through silence. Every word must be weighed as a piece on a chessboard. Seek to fortify your position, not to appease curiosity or fill empty air. Strategic brevity converts observation into power. An ill-timed comment exposes weakness and invites exploitation. When a subordinate challenges a decision publicly, respond with measured authority. Affirm your choice without over-explaining, and the challenge collapses quietly. Your calm signals strength, your restraint signals foresight. Perception is power. Every movement, every adjustment of your environment, every decision communicated must imply mastery. Betrayers stumble when they cannot predict your actions, when their attempts collide with unshakable control. Allow no gesture to reveal fear, hesitation, or uncertainty. Your presence must be a fortress, your reactions a calculated defense. Weak react emotionally to provocation. Strong observe, assess, and project dominance without yielding space to manipulation. Let the environment bend subtly to your will, steering influence without visible force. Control what is seen and what is known, allowing uncertainty to guard your strategy. The throne is maintained not by confrontation alone, but by the perception that you are untouchable, aware, and always 2 steps ahead. Command respect with measured actions, not with demonstrations of power that invite scrutiny. Guard your mind as a citadel, project calm as armor, and let silence be the blade that sharpens authority. Every glance, every word, every pause reinforces the image of a ruler whose command is absolute, whose knowledge is complete. The betrayer falters when they cannot predict, cannot manipulate, cannot test your limits. Let them stumble into hesitation while you maneuver freely. Protect your influence, enforce boundaries, and communicate through presence rather than over-explanation. This is not intimidation, this is a disciplined projection of power. Let observation and measured influence rule your interaction. Let perception shape reality, and let control over what is revealed secure your position. Every moment of calm, every measured word, every deliberate action fortifies your throne. Presence is the armor of king. Anticipate betrayal as a general anticipates an ambush. Your mind is the battlefield, and every thought a weapon. Preemptive insight is the sharpest blade. Study patterns, observe alliances, note subtle shifts in loyalty. Just as Richelieu maneuvered through court intrigue, foresee moves before they manifest. Map potential threats like terrain on a war table. Know where shadows gather, where whispers carry weight. Emotional disarmament is essential. Softness in judgment is an opening. Sentiment blinds you to danger. Neutrality in thought allows you to assess motives without bias. Let loyalty be earned, not assumed, and never permit affection to cloud calculation. Internal execution requires ruthless mental discipline, Visualize threats and remove them before they touch reality. Mentally dismantle schemes, rehearse responses, and anticipate resistance. This is not cruelty, it is survival. If a colleague subtly challenges your authority, respond with measured calm, reaffirm decisions through action rather than anger, and the challenge evaporates. Your internal assassin operates silently, every plan considered, every potential adversary analyzed, every contingency prepared. Weak, react emotionally, allow anger to guide response. Strong, observe, calculate, and neutralize threats before they emerge. Maintain clarity under pressure. Let strategy dictate your moves, not impulse. Control over perception ensures others cannot exploit hesitation or uncertainty. Train the mind like a soldier in formation, disciplined, alert, and ready. Every potential betrayal is a target for foresight. Every interaction a test of composure. Avoid overt confrontation until necessary. Let calculated foresight dictate timing. Actions anchored in strategic anticipation overpower reactive force. Silence becomes a shield, observation a reconnaissance tool, and foresight a sword. Develop mental scenarios where threats are neutralized before action reaches your threshold. Let intuition, sharpened by study and awareness, guide decisive judgment. The throne is maintained by intellect, not emotion. Prepare the mind for scenarios others fear to imagine. Assess every motive, every alliance, every smile for hidden agendas. Let planning and vigilance replace doubt and anxiety. Preemptive insight, emotional disarmament, and internal execution form a triad of mental supremacy. With this mindset, betrayal becomes a known variable, manageable before it crystallizes into reality. Master your mind and no enemy survives. Power is maintained where strength is nurtured and vigilance never sleeps. Picture your inner court as a forest, predators circling the edges, allies as pack members whose loyalty sustains your dominion. Selective nourishment is your first command. Feed allegiance, not empty flattery. Identify those who reinforce your throne through action, judgment, and reliability. Invest resources, time, and acknowledgement into those whose loyalty is proven, while withholding it from those whose commitment is uncertain. Let reward match merit, and loyalty becomes a tangible force, a wall against the encroaching predator. Study the predator without engagement, observing silently as the wolf watches from the shadows. Record their patterns, notice triggers, anticipate desires that could disrupt order. Understand that betrayal often emerges where attention falters. Blind trust invites intrusion. Your focus must remain unbroken, a reconnaissance of intent rather than confrontation. In a boardroom disagreement, allow a subtle challenge to pass without immediate rebuttal. Maintain calm, assess motives, and act later with decisive authority to reinforce control. Control the hunt by directing energy where it strengthens your position, not where it reacts to threats. Let initiative remain in your hands. Weak, chase perceived slights, allowing agitation to dictate movement. Strong, channel resources toward strategy, reinforcing power and preparedness. Every move must reinforce perception of dominance, deterring betrayal before it surfaces. Allies nurtured with precision become extensions of your vigilance, bridging gaps where danger may lurk. Predators deprived of opportunity are forced into inaction, their potential attack neutralized by your foresight. Watch for subtle shifts in behavior, unexplained absences, or quiet commentary that hints at disloyalty. These signals inform decisions on allocation of attention, support, and reward. Do not engage impulsively. Let measured action enforce boundaries while maintaining morale. Every decision must answer the question, does this strengthen the throne or expose weakness? Employ silence as a tool, presence as deterrence, and selective attention as reinforcement. When the pack feels recognized, purposeful, and disciplined, The lone predator loses the advantage of surprise. Your authority becomes a terrain difficult to navigate, a forest where the wolf hesitates. Maintain vigilance, reinforce loyalty, anticipate subversion, and direct every resource strategically. This is how you feed the wolf without becoming prey, channeling instinct, awareness, and foresight into an unbreakable framework of power. Empower the loyal, observe the cunning, command the hunt. It is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, life is a chessboard, and every human interaction is a move that carries consequences. From the first encounter, observe intentions like a grandmaster studying an opponent's opening. Subtle gestures, offhand remarks, and strategic positioning reveal patterns. Recognize these opening gambits and mark them in your mind. The player who anticipates early can turn minor advantages into decisive control. Sacrifice with purpose. Not every loss diminishes your power. Some are tactical retreats, temporary pawns in a larger design. Allow lesser assets to fall when it preserves the integrity of your throne. A mismanaged pawn can provide insight into the adversary's strategy, but it can also serve as a shield for higher value positions. Always evaluate what must be preserved and what can be exchanged without compromising ultimate victory. Foresight dominates the endgame. Anticipate betrayals not as isolated incidents, but as part of a long-term pattern. Chart possible contingencies and position yourself to respond before others act. In one boardroom conflict, a colleague attempted subtle undermining by questioning your judgment in front of the team. You remained calm, recorded the interaction, and addressed the issue privately, ensuring authority was preserved without public confrontation. Weak, react immediately, reveal uncertainty. Strong, assess silently, respond decisively at the right moment. Track the tendencies of those around you, noting inconsistencies and unexplained shifts. Maintain strategic patience. A rushed reaction can compromise position. Rehearse counter moves mentally, aligning every choice with the broader objective of securing influence and safety. Reinforce alliances through recognition and shared goals, ensuring those around you act in concert with the overarching strategy. Evaluate risks as calculated probabilities, not emotional impulses. Every decision should answer the question, does this move protect the throne or expose vulnerability? Employ subtlety, restraint, and observation to command the flow of engagement, letting initiative remain firmly in your control. Recognize that betrayal is rarely sudden. It is revealed through sequence, opportunity, and misaligned incentives. Prepare mentally for every contingency and preserve the integrity of your domain. Do not overextend resources chasing imagined threats, but do not underestimate silent encroachment. Let measured strategy, not impulse, dictate every action. Maintain clarity of vision, anticipate all maneuvers, and assert dominance without overt aggression. Treat every interaction as a calculated step, every concession as a tactical choice, and every observation as intelligent. The chessboard of life is unforgiving to those who ignore patterns or underestimate subtlety. Position yourself with foresight, preserve what is critical, and anticipate every betrayal before it materializes. Master the board or become the pawn. Discipline is the armor that betrayers cannot pierce. Each day you rise, you enter the battlefield of perception and control. Mental conditioning is your first weapon. Meditation focuses the mind, sharpening the senses to detect subtle shifts in behavior and hidden intent. Journaling captures patterns, exposing inconsistencies in others and in your own responses. Reflection ensures that decisions are informed, not reactive. Practice clarity, track your thoughts and observations daily. Physical discipline reinforces authority in every gesture. Maintain posture, as if the throne itself rests behind you. Strength training builds resilience. Energy management sustains alertness, and deliberate movement signals that you are unshakable. Every step, every stance communicates power without words. Weak, slouch, fidget, surrender energy. Strong, stand tall, move decisively, preserve stamina. Consistency compounds into dominance. Repetition of mental and physical rituals constructs immunity against manipulation. A single act repeated daily becomes a fortress of stability, making betrayal difficult to execute unnoticed. In one meeting, a peer attempted subtle undermining by questioning your proposal. You remained calm, acknowledged their concern, and presented evidence without emotion, maintaining control and credibility. This is the effect of rituals internalized. Preparation translates into poised action. Rituals are not burdens, they are strategic investments. Each session of focus and each maintained posture is a move on the board of influence, reducing vulnerability while signaling competence. The iron will is cultivated, not granted. Guard your time, guard your attention. Anticipate fatigue and preempt lapses in vigilance through structured practice. Align all actions to sustain both perception and reality of power. Mental and physical routines merge into a seamless demonstration of readiness. Let preparation dictate confidence. Let resilience dictate presence. Observe, act, repeat. Each day fortifies the mind and body, exposing weakness in others, while shielding your own domain. Treat rituals as non-negotiable. Consistency communicates authority, silently yet unmistakably. The betrayer hesitates when faced with an unshakable figure. Perceiving the futility of deception. Master your mind, master your body, and every move in social or professional combat becomes calculated, deliberate, and controlled. You cannot prevent all treachery, but you can render it ineffective through disciplined preparation. The throne is preserved, not by luck, but by daily acts that fortify awareness, strength, and resolve. Stand unbroken, act with precision, and let every ritual reinforce your sovereignty. Forge the will, and no betrayal can break you. The mind that anticipates is never taken by surprise. You move through life as though the battlefield is invisible yet present in every glance and gesture. An impenetrable mind is forged through awareness, stillness, and ruthless self-discipline. Observe all interactions without attachment. Silence sharpens perception and exposes the intentions hidden behind smiles. Stillness communicates control. It signals that your throne is unmoved by petty scheming. Ruthlessness is internal, not cruel. It is the refusal to grant weakness the power to dictate your actions. Build invisible armor through presence and ritual. Posture, tone, and consistent habits create a shield that betrayers cannot pierce. Daily discipline becomes language. Your movements declare authority before a word is spoken. Weak, hurried gestures, scattered attention, emotional reaction. Strong, measured motion, deliberate focus, calm energy. Strategic dominance emerges from the convergence of mind and armor. Anticipate moves before they occur. Foresee betrayals not as paranoia but as preparation. Control your environment, your emotions, and your responses with precision. In one negotiation, a colleague attempted to sway a decision subtly by questioning your motives. You responded with calm clarity, reframing the discussion around objective outcomes, neutralizing the attempt without confrontation. Every victory of control reinforces untouchability. Your mental fortresses deny access to manipulation, while your invisible armor signals that attempts are futile. Ritual and discipline convert into power over space and interaction, making betrayal both visible and ineffective before it reaches execution. Anticipate shifts in loyalty. Observe micro-behaviors and patterns without obsession. Respond decisively when needed, but always from a foundation of unshakable stability. Your presence becomes the strategic high ground. Every act of preparation, every maintained posture, and every disciplined routine compounds into dominance that betrayers cannot measure, let alone overcome. The throne is sustained not by fear or aggression alone, but by mastery of self, clarity of mind, and consistency of action. Let your will dictate the pace, your rituals reinforce your authority, and your foresight neutralize any challenge. Stand unshakable, move deliberately, and let every interaction be a calculated command of influence. Be untouchable before the strike arrives. The prince observes that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You rise on the battlefield of perception with mind, mourning, stillness, ruthlessness, and presence merged into a single yielding strategy. Every dawn, sharpen your awareness as a general reviews the terrain before war. Your thoughts are soldiers, disciplined and aligned. Meditation and reflection become reconnaissance, mapping intentions invisible to others. Posture, voice, and energy form your armor, signaling authority before words are exchanged. Weakness is a scent betrayers follow. Remove it through ritual and precision. Command your space with consistency, and every ally and rival recognizes your unshakable stability. Move through interactions with the predator's perspective, seeing relationships as terrain and betrayals as tracks that appear long before the hunt begins. Observe subtle shifts in loyalty, micro-behaviors that reveal the hidden currents of deception. Anticipate, do not react. In one boardroom, a colleague attempted a subtle manipulation, presenting conflicting data to sway a project. You countered calmly, referencing objective metrics and maintaining your composure, neutralizing the attempt without aggression, demonstrating mastery over the battlefield of thought. Strategic dominance is your weapon. Anticipate actions, prepare responses, and maintain control over your environment and decisions. Let each morning ritual, each focused reflection, and each maintained posture reinforce the fortress of your mind. Visualize the throne ascendant. Every movement, every gesture, every decision consolidates your sovereignty. Your presence becomes the apex point of influence. Betrayal falters in the face of precision, ritual, and relentless awareness. Each interaction, whether in negotiation, collaboration, or observation, is a chess move executed with foresight and discipline. Treat allies with clarity, predict rivals with vigilance, and maintain rituals that sustain your armor and focus. Your energy is deliberate, your attention is strategic. Every habit compounds, transforming routine into defense, awareness into preemptive strike, and stillness into calculated dominance. You are no longer prey in the social and emotional terrain. You are the apex strategist whose mind cannot be breached. The throne is not a seat, but a state of unassailable readiness, commanding respect and anticipating all threats. Your sovereignty is expressed in calm command, invisible armor, and strategic foresight. Let every act, every observation, and every choice consolidate your position, ensuring that betrayal fails before it is attempted. Stand immovable, see all angles, anticipate all moves, and let every action be deliberate, disciplined, and precise. Strike before the shadow forms. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Treat every interaction as reconnaissance, scanning the landscape of intentions before committing trust. Observe micro-expressions, tones, and inconsistencies. These are the faint trails a betrayer leaves behind. Your awareness is the first line of defense, a shield forged through daily vigilance. Begin each day with mental drills, reviewing potential scenarios and responses. Map allies and rivals alike, understanding motives without judgment or haste. Rule your own mind as a general commands troops. Hesitation or emotional indulgence signals vulnerability. In a team meeting, a colleague attempted to influence a decision through subtle pressure, presenting incomplete data as fact. You maintained calm, referenced verified information, and redirected the discussion to objective metrics, neutralizing manipulation without confrontation. Your internal sovereignty transforms perception into strategy. Emotions are measured, thoughts deliberate, and actions precise. Command your energy like a fortress, each habit reinforcing boundaries and signaling strength. Presence becomes armor. Confidence communicates authority before words are spoken. Weak, reactive. Strong, deliberate. Weak, trusting without evidence. Strong, observant before engagement. Let each day solidify discipline, ensuring that betrayal cannot find a foothold. Your vigilance extends beyond others. It begins with self-control, turning internal mastery into external security. Maintain rituals that sharpen focus, from morning reflection to deliberate preparation for interactions. Anticipate motives without paranoia, respond with calm certainty, and sustain practices that reinforce resilience. The throne you occupy is not granted. It is earned through consistent, conscious effort. By ruling yourself first, you transform influence into impenetrable sovereignty. See the faintest deviation, interpret intentions with clarity, and act decisively before threats materialize. Your mind becomes a citadel, your demeanor a deterrent, and your choices a map of calculated dominance. Let every habit, every observation, and every measured reaction consolidate your authority. Trust is earned, caution is constant, and mastery is habitual. See the dagger before it strikes and sit upon your throne untouched.